Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. Wanted to touch base with you regarding another rating schedule change effective date. So, the new effective date for tinnitus. We're going to be talking about tinnitus today. And look, if you're not aware, the VA has been changing rating schedules. Now, the rating schedules are for all the different body systems, and they're called books and all that stuff. And so, anyway, there's a bunch of information out there that the VA is constantly changing. In fact, they've changed probably, 70% or more of their rating schedules over the past 7 years. There are more to come, and there's three that are coming up here shortly. They're next on the list. The one that just happened not too long ago was the digestive system. And how long did that take? From the time that the VA announced its rating schedule proposal change for digestive system, it took 5 years approximately to implement. We are now at, 2.5 years since the VA has announced the rating schedule change for these conditions. And I'm doing a 3 video kind of series here for you on each one of these. So this one is tinnitus, ringing in the ears, and the VA's desire to eliminate it as a standalone condition. In other words, if you just say, I have tinnitus, period, the VA will not recognize it. What they want to see now is they want to see that your tinnitus is a symptom of another condition, whatever that may be, right? Could be Meniere's disease, could be associated with some sort of hearing loss. But I want to read through it here with you, give you a little backdrop on where we were, kind of how the process is going, and the updated date, and what you should do. So let's jump into it. Hit the thumbs up for me, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. The 2 asks are really, look, hit the thumbs up and let the video run. That is what helps to put this into the hands of those that need it. And look, if you want to support the channel in other ways, please consider being a member. It really does, it actually supports the channel, and I do appreciate it so very much. You can go to the homepage, you'll see highlighted members and a join button. Thank you so much to all you members. I truly appreciate each and every one of you and your support. It really does help. All right, so let's jump into this. First, I'm going to talk about the news release or press release that the VA sent out back in February of 2022, February 15th of 2022, titled VA Proposes Updates to Disability Rating Schedules for Respiratory, Auditory, and Mental Health Disorder Body Systems. Okay, now we're going to talk about the auditory, which would be the hearing, and I'm going to find the spot on here that talks about it and share that with you. So as we look into this, it basically touches on all of them, and when it comes down to the total percentage that you could receive for hearing, it basically eliminates it. All right, so I skipped down to find the spot that it talks about it. It's buried into another paragraph. So anyway, it goes on here to say, for tinnitus, ringing in the ears, the proposed changes would recognize that symptom within the veteran's broader ailment and provide service-connected compensation for tinnitus through the disease to which it is attributed. Okay, that's important because before we didn't have to do that, right? We just got our 10%. Now, in some cases, it's going to shortchange you, right? So, for example, if you had Meniere's disease and tinnitus, you could be rated for Meniere's disease, and it's with or without tinnitus, and then you could potentially also be rated for tinnitus separate from Meniere's disease, especially because the argument is that you can have Meniere's disease with or without tinnitus. So in any case, for example, I have tinnitus, ringing in the ears. Many of you do, and it's not associated with anything else to my knowledge, and I'm rated for it at 10%. So the VA is basically saying that is going to go away. When we move over to the Federal Register, there is some information on tinnitus built into their proposal. And I'm just going to read through this because that is the next step, right? They informed us, they submitted it to the Federal Register, they open it up for comments, they allow public comment, which many people don't even know that that's happening. because the VA really doesn't push it out to the end user, us, but the folks on the Hill at the VFW, the American Legion, DAV, Paralyzed American Veterans, the list goes on, right? MOA, TREA, Marine Corps League, Order of the Purple Heart, right? I mean, there's 1,000 of them. So they will typically put in their thoughts into the public comments, and sometimes the VA will actually make a change before they implement the rule change. So in here, what they have as far as the tinnitus is concerned is VA proposes to evaluate tinnitus only as part of its underlying pathology and to delete the diagnostic code 6260 entirely, which is standalone tinnitus, just gone. So in other words, tinnitus will be compensated through application of diagnostic codes 6100, 6204, 6205, 8045, 8046, 9305. So they will utilize those diagnostic codes, and I'm not even sure which ones those are. I'd have to look each one up. And maybe I should. Let's do that real quick. All right, so the first one is the 6100, which is basically the hearing. So tinnitus basically as a result of your hearing loss. So let's go on to the next one. All right, the next one is peripheral vestibular, I can't even say it, vestibular, something like that. Next one. I'm going to try again. Peripheral vestibular. All right, next one. All right, next one is impacts from TBI. Maybe you have ringing in your ears as a kind of a symptom of your TBI. All right, next one. All right, and the last one that they have on here is used to rate major or mild vascular neurocognitive disorders. All right, so could be associated with any of those. I'm surprised they didn't list Meniere's disease, because in the rating schedule it actually does say Meniere's disease with or without tinnitus, so whatever. Anyway, let's move on here and jump back into the Federal Register, where it is talking about sleep apnea. So it says that, in other words, tinnitus will be compensated through the application of the diagnostic codes, and those are the ones that we just fumbled through. And when I say we, I mean me. All right, moving on. Depending on its service-connected cause. All right, so for tinnitus associated with service-connected hearing loss in particular, the presence of tinnitus generally does not impact earning capacity beyond what is already contemplated at the compensation level of the hearing loss. Though VA recognizes that the presence of tinnitus combined with non-compensable hearing loss could have more than a 0% impact on earnings capacity. Thus, DC 6100 will provide a 10% evaluation for tinnitus associated with hearing loss only when hearing loss is non-compensable. Only when hearing loss on its own does not warrant a 10% evaluation or higher. If a hearing loss is compensable, warranting a 10% evaluation or greater, an additional 10% evaluation for tinnitus associated with the hearing loss shall not be assigned. All right, so what they're saying is, and I'm pretty sure you understand it, is if you have hearing loss and tinnitus, but your hearing loss is very minor, you have a 0% rating for it, and tinnitus, they will give you a 10% rating anyway. But if you have a 10% or higher hearing loss, doesn't matter if you have tinnitus or not. So I'll just finish this part out here real quick. It says, to that end, VA will add 2 notes under DC 6100. The first note will list examples of which disabilities contemplate tinnitus as a symptom of a given underlying pathology. The second note will provide that tinnitus is only compensated as part of the underlying service-connected condition. VA notes that this proposal will have no impact on veterans currently in receipt of service connection for tinnitus under DC 6260. These evaluations are governed under the provisions of 38 CFR 3.951 alpha. So you are grandfathered in if you have tinnitus currently, and you're rated for it under that diagnostic code. And remember, they're going to eliminate the code, so it's just going to go away. Tinnitus as a standalone disappears. What can you do? What should you do? Let's look at the date here. So in the where are we? We're in the Office of Information and Regulatory Affairs, Office of Management and Budget, through the Executive Office of the President, reginfo.gov. And on here, it basically says the title, schedule for rating disabilities, and states that this is for the ear, nose, throat, and audiology disabilities. And I'm going to skip over this stuff and just go down to the meat. It says that they filed this on February 15th, 2022. That's when the VA sent out their notice to everyone saying that they were proposing this. They closed the comments period April 18th, 2022. And now they have a final action date listed as April 2025. They don't have a specific date. It's a placeholder. Could be before, could be after, who knows. Here's the bottom line. I believe that tinnitus is easier to obtain today and more lucrative today, although it's a 10% rating. It's more lucrative today than it will be after the change goes into effect. I believe that if you have tinnitus and you have not been rated for it, you should consider it. Now, look, if you're already 100% rated and you're good to go and you don't need that, then that's fine. Look at your situation. But if that extra 10%, if you're a 94% rated veteran who's rounded to 90 and all you need is that 10 to bump you over, do it, right? Tinnitus isn't a huge rating, but it could help you move to the next level. And you never know. There could be some sort of a weird secondary that you could end up getting off of it maybe in the future. But the bottom line is that if you don't have tinnitus rated today and you have it, look at your situation. If you're currently in the military and you're getting ready to discharge, if you're in between the 30 to 60 day, the 3 month to 6 month window from your exit date, not terminal leave, but your actual, this is it, I've retired or I'm out date, then you have the ability to file what's called a benefits delivery at discharge. Take advantage of that and file for the things that you need to file for, and make sure you include things that are proposed to change, especially in a negative light. So with that, that's kind of my suggestion. Again, you're grandfathered in for those that are already rated. So with that, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. Have a great one, and remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.